Our special guest today is a youth keynote speaker, the founder of Dreamer State University, and former manager of one of the biggest influencers in Los Angeles, Charlie Rocket. Together, they built a social media following. Over 9 million people made over 1,000 dreams come true for kids with cancer, disabilities, and those needing a miracle. He's collaborated with celebrities like Jake Paul. I love Jake Paul, right? No? All right. MGK, Steph Curry, and Oprah, and toured all across the country in an RV called the Dream Machine to make this impact happen. Here he is today to perform his keynote speech, Dreamology 101, where he will share 10 lessons on how you can make your dreams come true, both in your time here at Spirit Lake and for your future. Spirit Lake, please give it up for Timmy the Dreamer!
Spirit Lake, how we doing today? I said, Spirit Lake, how we doing today? All right, we're gonna get some energy in the room. When I say I am a, I want you guys to say dreamer. All right, ready? I am a dreamer. I am a dreamer. I am a dreamer. There we go. All right, well, listen, it's good to be here, guys. And, you know, honestly, when I hear Rob read that introduction, it kind of blows my mind, the things that I've been able to experience since I left, school. I mean, from traveling all across the country to meeting these celebrities to impacting all these lives. And, I'm just a kid from Minnesota, small town in Minnesota. And so it's been a crazy journey. And when I think about, when I was in your shoes as a student, I really had no idea what my dreams were in life. And I had no idea where my life was going to take me. And today I'm going to talk about how I went from being a lost, confused student to experiencing all of my biggest dreams in life. And I'm going to share with you what are the steps that you guys can also take to live out some of your biggest dreams in life. And when I thought about where to start this story, there's really only one place to start. And it was a day that completely changed the course of my life, completely changed the path that I was going to take in life. And it was August 15th, 2018. And honestly, it was one of the worst days of my life. And before I tell you exactly what happened on that day and why it changed my life, I think you need a little bit of a backstory. Because my first dream in life, when I was a kid, my childhood dream was to be an NBA player. And I didn't just fantasize about this dream. I was one of those kids that was really convinced that I was destined to be the next great Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Michael Jordan. And so I put in work each and every day to achieve that goal and achieve that dream. Well, by the time I got to be about your age and got to high school, I realized that, all right, well, kids were starting to grow and I wasn't, and kids were starting to dunk the ball and I couldn't quite touch the rim, and I realized that, maybe my dreams of going to the NBA weren't going to happen. And I was devastated. I was devastated because my entire life had been basketball up until that point, but also when I looked forward as to what was going to happen next, there was a lot of these. A lot of question marks as to what is my life really going to look like. And some of you in this room might have had a childhood dream. You might still have. It might be sports or music or theater or art or whatever the case may be. But a lot of you might be feeling the same way when you think about what is my life really going to look like after Spirit Lake. And along with this, you might be getting asked questions at this point in your life. Questions like, what's your plan after high school? And are you going to go to college? And which college do you want to go to? And what are your friends are going to do? And what are you going to major in? And what do you want to do for the rest of your life? Who here has been asked any questions somewhat like this recently? Okay, and who here, like me, gets pretty stressed and anxious when thinking about how do I find the answers to all these questions? Yeah, right? And so my strategy was this. Instead of taking the time to think about what is my dream after basketball, I was like, okay, I got to have it figured out, and I got to have a plan, and I better have an answer as soon as I possibly can. And so the fastest thing I could think of was, well, I'll just go do what my dad did. I'll just follow my dad's footsteps, and I'll go be this corporate businessman. And so I decided to go to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and I joined the business school, and I studied hard, and I got the good grades, and I did everything that I thought that I was supposed to do. And yet, by the time that I got to the end of college, a time when I thought I was supposed to have life all figured out, a funny thing happened. I actually felt more lost, more confused, and more unsure of what I really wanted to do with my life. And because of this, for the first time in my life, now I'm graduating college, and I still have no idea what I want to do with my life, I was experiencing some real anxiety. And I don't know if anybody in this room has experienced anxiety, but for me, it was tightness in my chest and tightness in my stomach, and some days were really hard to get out of bed. And with these two things, I also felt this sense of loneliness. I'm like, I have a ton of friends, and I've always had these big friend groups, yet it seems like everybody else has it figured out, and everybody else seems to have their life all in order, and I feel like I'm over here, and I'm just like, man, I don't really know what my life is going to look like. So all of this was leading up to that date, August 15th, 2018, and it was the last day of my last ever internship as a student. And the CEO and I had kind of a funny relationship because, you know, this internship, your last one in college, is supposed to be the important one. It's like, this is the job that I'm going to go do when I graduate. But he knew that I didn't want to go work there after I graduated, and I also knew that he wasn't going to hire me back because honestly it just wasn't a good fit. But I walked into his office and I decided to be vulnerable that day, and his name was Dale. And I said, hey Dale, I got to be real with you, man. I've been struggling. My mental health's in a bad place. I feel lost. I feel confused. I'm searching for something that feels exciting to me like basketball did. Basketball felt exciting. It felt meaningful. I want to find something in my life that feels the same way. And you know, I have these dreams that I've never really told anybody. I would love to maybe start a business like you one day. I'd love to travel for work. I'd love to really help people. Like, those things sound exciting to me. And you know, you're this big, successful, multi-millionaire founder, house on the lake, the Minnesota dream. I'm like, do you have any advice for me as I'm about to start this next chapter in my life? And I thought that Dale was going to give me some big inspirational, motivational, go after your dreams type speech like I guess I'm doing today. But instead, he told me 4 words that I'll never forget. He looked me in the eyes and he said, Timmy, you can't do that. He said, you're just a student. He goes, what do you think? You're just going to start a business and travel and help people? He says, it's time for you to make money. It's time for you to grow up. Like, you're being a little bit delusional. There's a certain path that you have to take towards success in life. There's one standardized path. And unless you're willing to do those things, you're probably not going to find the success and happiness that you're looking for in life. He said, I know that's not what you wanted to hear, but it's time for you to put your big boy pants on, man. Like, you got to grow up. It's time for you to enter the real world. I walked out of his office and I was like, okay. I was like shocked. I get to my car and I remember thinking to myself, what? Like, I'm already lost and confused and anxious and uncertain, and here I get the courage to tell some big successful guy my dreams, and he's like, nah man, like, you can't do that. You gotta just stay over here. And I'm like, I've already been doing everything that I think I'm supposed to do, all the right steps, and yet I feel miserable, and you're telling me that somewhere down the road there's gonna be some pot of gold waiting for me? Like, it didn't make any sense to me, but I believed him because I didn't know any other way. Maybe this is it. Maybe that's all that there is to life. Maybe my time playing basketball as a child was my peak. So I go home that night, and it's one of those nights where, you know, you lay in bed and you got so many things running through your head. And I was laying there for hours and hours and hours, and midnight hit, 1 a.m. hit, 2 a.m. hit, 3 a.m. hit, and I'm laying there for 4 hours, and finally I just took a deep breath, and I remember a different voice popped into my head, a voice that opposed what Dale said to me. And the voice said, Timmy, this dude's wrong, man. He doesn't really know you. He doesn't know your story. He doesn't know what you're capable of. He doesn't know that the dreams that you truly have for your life. And I remember as I was talking to myself in bed at 3 a.m., I was getting angry. I was angry because I realized that ever since I stopped playing basketball, I stopped dreaming. And I started to live my entire life based off of what everybody else was doing and what I thought I should do and what the expectations and opinions were of others, and I was sick of it. It was leading me nowhere. It was leading me nowhere, and so I opened my eyes, and I remember I grabbed a piece of paper, and I wrote down, I said, I don't know what my dream life looks like or even what my purpose is on this earth, but today is the day that I'm committing to going after the life that I truly want to live. Today is the day that I am signing a lifetime contract with my dreams. And I signed it and I dated it, August 15th, 2018. And that decision would fundamentally change my life forever. All these things of traveling across the country and building a social media following of 9 million people and collaborating with celebrities and meeting people like Steph Curry, some of my childhood heroes, and changing thousands of lives, it all started with me committing to going after my true dreams in life and not the dreams that others want me to chase. And I say now, when I was a student, you know, I thought there was like thousands of choices that I could make with my life. But now I realize actually just 2. I say now there's two paths in life. Path number one I call the Dale's path. And this is the life that others want you to live, the path others want you to take, the dreams others want you to chase. It might be what your family's doing. It might be what your friends want to do. It might be what just the societal norms and expectations are of the times. But this is path number one. Path number two I now call the dreamer's path. This path is one of one. It's uniquely designed for each individual in this room based off your own unique skill sets, talents, desires, passions, and for what you ultimately want most for your life. And lesson number one in my speech today called Dreamology 101, a class about dreams. What are the steps that you can take to make your dreams come true in life? The first step is just to commit to actually going after your dreams, your true path in life. So for me, the next morning, right, I wake up after I sign this contract, and I'm fired up for a second. I'm fired up because I'm like, all right, I made a decision to finally start going after my dreams again, but there was a big problem. The problem was I still didn't really know what to do next. Because, I knew broadly, some ideas, but I didn't know, what's my next action step and what am I actually supposed to do? And so I'm sitting there in this moment of confusion, and I asked myself a question. I was like, has there ever been another time in my life where I had no idea what I was doing, but I showed up and I took action and I learned and good things happened? And I was like, well, yeah, actually, it's kind of like the first day of class. Somebody here name a class that's pretty hard here at Spirit Lake, traditionally a pretty hard class. Anybody, just any class? Biology? All right, so your first day of biology. When you show up the first day, do you expect to know anything, yes or no? It's the first day, right? You got to show up, you got to learn from the teacher, you got to study, take the practice test, and by the end of the year, you might not be an expert, but do you know a little bit more than when you first started? Yeah. So I thought to myself, what if I treat this process of discovering and pursuing my dreams just like a class? Because the issue might not be that when we're starting our journeys, we don't have it figured out. The issue might be the pressure that we put on ourselves to have everything all figured out when our journey is really just beginning. And so in that moment, I decided to create my own field of study. I said, all right, Dreamology 101, I'm going to study how to make my dreams come true. And I even made my own textbook, I say, but I made this Word document, and it's now 300 pages. I started this in 2018, and it's literally everything I've tried, everything I've learned, every person I met, and every place that I've been. And to start this experimentation with my dreams, I asked myself the most powerful question that you can possibly ask yourself. I asked myself, Timmy, what's your dream? And again, I didn't specifically know how to answer this. I couldn't tell you, it's exactly this thing. But if I allowed myself to be imperfect, allowed myself to be at step one, I could write some things down. Because I knew that I wanted to be happy because I was struggling with my mental health and anxiety. I knew I wanted to find my tribe because the people that I hung out with in my past weren't exactly matching the future I wanted to create for myself. I knew I wanted to discover my purpose, and within that I wrote help people and travel and start a business, do things that felt exciting and meaningful to me. And so I write these dreams down, and I decided my first step was going to be to start to share them with others. And it's a funny part of the journey when you start to share your dreams with others, because you might encounter people like Dale. People who tell you, it's not a good idea, man. No, I wouldn't do that. And I realized very early on, it's possible, it's not for sure, but it's possible that 99% of people won't really understand your dreams when you're first starting. And this was hard for me, I'm not going to lie to you, because relationships are the most important thing to me. And I'm sure for a lot of you in the room, your friends and your family are the most important thing to you. And so feeling some judgment from others, feeling some isolation from my friends, and moving back into my parents' house after I graduated was not the easiest thing. But I was like, I got to keep sharing these dreams because I know there's going to be somebody out there who resonates with these things that can truly help me make these dreams come true. And there happened to be one person who's in the building today. Where's he at? My brother, Tyler. Everybody say, what's up, Tyler? Tyler came to me one day and he said, Timmy, what if you, some of our friends, what if we go to this cafe in South Minneapolis and we meet on this Monday night to talk about the last year of our life, what we liked, what we didn't, and then we talk about the next year of our life and what our dreams truly are, because his dream at the time was to become a full-time videographer. And I said, dude, that's a great idea, because honestly, up until that point, most of my conversations in my life had revolved around either sports or what girls that we were chasing at the time. And so I was like, dude, I'd love to sit down and talk about our dreams. And so we meet up, we go to this cafe, and us and 5 of our friends, we sat down for 5 hours. And we ended up talking about our actual dreams and our struggles and what we actually want out of life. And it was the first time I had a place in my life where people said, yes, you can, not no, you can't. Where people were like, bro, you got it. I don't know how you got it, but you got it. And it was invigorating, man. We ended up meeting every single Monday night for 2 years straight, and we called ourselves the Daydreamers. And this group taught me such an important lesson about friendship. I realized that true friends are the ones that are going to really support you in being the person that you want to be, not the person that they want you to be. And I also realized that when you have permission from a group of people to go after your dreams, that anything is really possible. And so I now say that you got to have your dream mates. Just how you have classmates in school, you got to have people in your life who are truly going to be like, yo, man, like I want the best for you. And that could be one friend, it could be one family member, it could be one teacher at this school who truly cares for you, but one person in your life who you know you can actually go to and be like, yo, this is what I want to do for my life. How can we make it happen? And so for me, I'm like, okay, cool. I got this tribe, this group of people for the first time in my life that will support my dreams. I'm making some progress, but there was still one big problem I was facing. I was still waking up every day with this anxiety. And it was, man, every day I woke up and it was this crippling feeling in my stomach, in my chest, and I didn't know what to do about it. Because I'd always been this happy guy. Captain of my basketball team, president of my fraternity. Oh, Timmy, man, you're always so fun. You're always having a good time. Like, you're always so happy. And people didn't know deep down. I was like, dude, I do not feel good. And I didn't tell anybody. And there's a really dangerous mindset we can have when we're struggling. When we tell ourselves that I'm the only one who's going through what I'm going through and nobody else could really understand, so I'm just going to keep it to myself. Because when we do that, we isolate ourselves from the world and we just are forced to carry these problems all by ourselves. And, you know, it's funny because now that I've gotten older, there's these studies that have been done, and we see that 62% of students today struggle with their mental health. So I definitely wasn't alone. And for anybody in this room who might be going through something too, you aren't alone either, right? I want you to just mentally, you don't have to look, but just acknowledge the person to your left and the person to your right. Everybody in this room is probably facing some battle that you have no idea about. And so asking for help on this journey is one of the best decisions that we can make. And even though I was afraid to do that, I knew that if I didn't go get help with my mental health, that I would never be able to achieve the dreams that I wanted to achieve in life. And so I ended up hiring this mindfulness coach. And a mindfulness coach is basically like a therapist who uses the tools of mindfulness meditation to help you with your mental health and well-being. And I sat down with her, and I broke it all down for her. I don't know if anybody here has gone to therapy, but your first session, you're just like, you just give them everything. And you're like, hey, this is what I'm going through. This is what I'm struggling with. My conclusion was, yo, I want this anxiety gone. I want it out of my life. And the first thing she said to me, she said, Timmy, I think I already know your problem. I said, great. Let's solve it. Let's get anxiety up out of here. She said, no, that is your problem. She said, you think that anxiety is your enemy. She said, it's actually your friend. Remember, I looked at her, I was like, huh? She's like, no, actually, what a gift it is that you have this anxiety in your life. She said, no, actually, what a blessing it is that you have this anxiety in your life. And I'm like, hey, now she's just messing with me. I'm like, I don't know where she's going with this, but I don't know if she's listened or not, but I'm like, yo, this has been ruining my life. Like, what are you talking about? She said, Timmy, how cool is it that you have something in your life that is telling you when you're out of alignment? She said, anxiety can be caused for many reasons, but one of the big reasons that I see on your journey is that anxiety has been trying to tell you, speak to you, and tell you when you're out of alignment in your life. She said, when you were playing basketball as a kid, chasing your dreams, did you feel anxiety, yes or no? I said, no. She said, okay, when you started going down this path that others wanted you to take, did your anxiety go up or down? I said, oh, it went up. She said, when you started to hang out with people that didn't really match who you actually wanted to be, did your anxiety go up or down? I said, oh, it went up. She said, when you signed that contract with your dreams to get back on your true path in life, does your anxiety go down? I said, yeah. She said, when you met those daydreamers, your anxiety go down? I said, yeah. She said, Timmy, look, your anxiety is literally trying to tell you, don't go that way, go that way. Don't hang out with these people, hang out with these people. Don't go that career path, go on that career path. And what a blessing it is that you have something in your life that is trying to speak to you. She said, human emotions were all given to us for a reason. Sadness, anger, fear, anxiety, all these things are given to us for a reason. And they're never going to go away. So your job is not to fight them, but to listen to them and to understand what they're really trying to tell you. And she said, if you're still feeling this anxiety in your life, you got to ask yourself a question. Where in your life are you still out of alignment? And I was like, well, to be honest, it's my work. Like, I really want to help people. I really want to do something meaningful. I'm still trying to find that thing that feels exciting to me. And she said, okay, well, tell me more about that. Like, how do you want to help people? I said, well, I don't really know, but I do know this Daydreamers group has changed my life. Having a group, a squad of boys that I can just talk about my dreams with them, like, I feel like there could be something in building a community for people to chase their dreams together. There's got to be a lot of people out there who could use something like that. And so she said, okay, I want you to go home and I want you to write down every idea you can possibly think of for this community of dreamers you want to build. And so I made this 14-page plan of events and retreats, and I could launch Dreamology as a podcast, and I could start inspirational merch and all these different ideas. And again, I ended up living at home for 18 months in my parents' house, and I was just experimenting. And this is very similar to that first day of class when I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what the right first step is to take, but I'm going to just take a step, and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to see where it takes me. And so I decided to launch Dreamology as a podcast to start. I'm like, you know what? That's the first thing I can do. I had no idea what I was doing, but I recorded this podcast, and I was getting like 25 views an episode, but I kept going, and I kept going. I got about to episode 50 before one of my guests gave me a great piece of advice. He said, Timmy, I think what you're missing on this journey is you've got to find somebody who is doing what you really want to do, and you've got to learn from them. He said, think about in school, when you have teachers. The teachers know what you need to know, and they help you get there. He said, in life, it's the same way. You can shortcut this process. It's a cheat code to say, what do I want? This person has it. Let me ask them how they got it, and I can go on that path to getting it. And so I started searching the internet far and wide for somebody who has this community of dreamers, and I ended up coming across this on Instagram. And I saw it, and I was like, what on earth is this? I saw this dude, and he was traveling all across the country in this big RV called the Dream Machine, and he was literally raising money and making dreams come true for people in need. And he had this big, bus, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air looking bus, and he had this sponsor. It was called Dreamer, and it was a social media app to connect people on their dreams. And I'm like, holy crap, this guy is doing everything that I said that I wanted to do and more. And so I started to look into who is Charlie Rocket, and he was this multi-millionaire former music mogul. He used to manage artists like 2 Chainz and Travis Porter and Soulja Boy. I don't know. This is like the music I listened to when I was in high school, like our high school dances. I don't know how much you guys know the song, but Travis Porter was like the okay now ladies, yeah, and like 2 Chainz had the Grammy-winning song, you don't want no problem with me. So these are like hits back in the day when I was in high school. They might still be, I'm not really sure, but I was like, I gotta meet this guy, man. And when I saw this dude, I was like, okay, there's a part in all of our journeys where the universe is gonna give us an opportunity to do something bold. An opportunity to step out of our comfort zone and reach for something that could truly change our lives. Because up until that point, I've been showing up every day, taking steps, but here was something that I could do. Meet this guy, I felt like it was gonna change my life if I met him. And so I decided to open my phone and just send him a DM. And I said, hey, Charlie, I said, my brother's a videographer, and I got 2 hands, like I can volunteer with whatever you need help with. He was gonna be in Milwaukee on his tour across the country. I said, we'll pull up, we'll help with whatever you need. We just wanna support you in your mission. And it was one of those texts, you send, you're pretty afraid to hit the send button, but you send it and you put your phone down and you tell yourself you're not gonna check it for a while, so you walk away and then instantly you sprint back to your phone, and sure enough, the 3 dots were typing, like instantly. And he just said, sounds good, I'll see you guys in Milwaukee. I was like, oh my gosh, okay. First step, call my brother. Tyler, you free to go to Milwaukee? I explained him the situation. He's like, let's do it. So we hop in our car, we drive to Milwaukee, and when we got there, I was like, Tyler, we can't just show up with no ideas. We've got to help this guy. And so we made this list of everything that we could do for him, from videos to help him with his events to just any value we could provide him. And we showed up, we volunteered for the event. After the event, we got to talk to him. We said, hey man, we're here for 48 hours. What kind of video do you want to make? Here's a list of ideas. He said, I want to make this video about mental health. We said, cool. We stayed up all night. We pulled an all-nighter. We made this script, this shot list. We get up the next morning. We hand him the plan. Let's go, man. Let's go film. And he's like, when did you guys do this? We said, oh, we didn't sleep, man. We got 48 hours. Like, come on. Like, we got to keep going. And so we make this video. And, it was an incredible weekend. And Tara and I are driving back to Minnesota. We're thinking, this is the end of the story. This is it. Like, cool. We got a mentor. We had an incredible weekend. But now we're driving back to Minnesota. And, like, for me, it was like all I needed was proof. Hey, the ideas I have in my head are possible. I'm seeing that it's possible. So I'm like, this is it, cool. This is the end of the story. I'm gonna go back and keep working on my vision. Well, then 3 days later, we get a phone call, and it's from Charlie. And he said, Timmy, nobody's ever just showed up, just helped in the way you guys helped, brought so much good energy and asked for nothing in return. He said, those are the kind of people I want on my team. He said, what would you guys think about joining me on this 5-month tour all across the country? We're going to travel America, we're going to help people in need, and you're going to help me build this business and this movement. I tried to control my excitement. I was like, let me check I'm in. Let's do it. Let's do it. And he said, there's one caveat though. He said, I don't have a lot of money in this business right now. He said, I can't really pay you to start, but you're going to have food to eat, a place to sleep, and that's what we're going to start with. And so I looked at my bank account and I was like, all right, well, I got about 3 months of money left. 3 months of money until it hits zero. But I also was like, man, you got an opportunity right now to do everything that Dale said you couldn't do. Everything that you want to do, from starting a business to help people to traveling. I was like, you've got to do something bold and you've got to go for it. And so my brother and I pack our bags, we hop on the Dream Machine and we start heading east towards New York. And when we first started this tour, our team was tiny. It was Charlie, our buddy Langford, and me and Tyler. And so we were working 7 days a week, 12-hour days, and it was exhausting. But the concept was simple. Find people to help them, share it on social media, and through sharing it on social media, find more brands and individuals who want to donate and help us make more dreams come true in the process for peace. So for example, we found a girl who was biking 3 miles to work every day. We bought her a car. We found a single mother with 4 children who was about to get evicted from her apartment, and we paid for 2 years of her rent. There was this guy, Marcus, in Nashville, who him and his daughter had gotten split up because they couldn't afford a 2-bedroom apartment, and so his daughter was in foster care. And so we surprised him, got him a 2-bedroom apartment, and got his daughter out of foster care so they could live together again. So it's things like this each and every day, 5 months straight, all across the country. And as we started to do this, the social media started to grow because Tyler was sharing everything through our social medias. And it was like, okay, we got a 100,000 view video. We got a 1 million view video. Okay, people are reaching out. Brands are starting to call, oh my God, okay, we can do things bigger and bigger and bigger. And momentum was growing all the way up to the point we got to Los Angeles. And when we got to Los Angeles, 2 things happened that completely changed the course of our movement. The first thing was the Dreamer House. Now, at the time in Los Angeles, I don't know if you guys remember this, but the Content House was a really big thing. So there were these influencers and creators, and they would all go live in this mansions together in Los Angeles, and they would dance and make videos, but they would get millions of views, and it would promote these companies that would sponsor these homes. So Dreamer, which was our main sponsor, the CEO, Chris, he came to us and he said, what would you guys think about making a content house all about dreams? Where you get all these celebrities and influencers together to literally go make dreams come true for people in need. And we said, well, that sounds incredible. So here we are going from living in our parents' house to living in an RV to moving into a $5 million mansion in Hollywood Hills to help make dreams come true for people in need. For me, it was obviously crazy, but for our movement, it was like, oh, this is game changing. And the second thing that happened when we got to Los Angeles is when we got there, similar to when I met Charlie, we told ourselves, we got to do something bold. We're in the city of dreamers. People move to Los Angeles to chase their dreams. We've got to do what we've deemed as the biggest dream yet. Something so big, so inspiring that it inspires people, everybody to go after their dreams and to help others in need as well. And in that process, we ended up meeting a homeless street artist by the name of Richard. And now when we met Richard, he told us that his dream in life was to have his art hanging on the walls of a museum one day. We said, all right, we could probably figure that out. But what if we make this the biggest dream yet? And so we decided to make prints of his art and build him a website online and sell our art to our social media following. We ended up selling over $250,000 worth of art for Richard. We then found an art studio in Beverly Hills, one of the most famous art studios on earth, who said, hey, you guys can use our art studio for free. We threw a sold-out art show where 750 people showed up, and somebody bought an original painting for $23,000. We then got celebrities and influencers involved. One of my favorite was Steve Harvey. If you guys don't know, Steve Harvey was living out of his car. He was homeless when he was trying to pursue his dream of being a TV star. And everybody told him that he was crazy. But he said that when he was living out of his car, somebody gave him $3,000, and that got him out of homelessness. And so he bought an original painting for $3,000. We then had national news. We got over 1 billion views on social media for this story alone. And the cherry on top is that Oprah Winfrey herself even bought an original painting for $5,000. It was insane. This was the wildest couple months of my life. But when it was happening, I was like, oh my gosh, Richard's dream just came true on the biggest level. And as far as us at Dream Machine, Like our dream had come true in the biggest level because we now had millions of people who were helping us make these dreams come true, and they were all asking us, what are these guys going to do next? And before I get to what happened next, because it was pretty crazy, I want to acknowledge, like at this point in my life had also changed. Because if I thought about just a year before that Richard moment, I joined Charlie's team as an unpaid intern, basically. And now 1 year later, we had built this entire team of 12 people. We were working with some of the biggest brands on earth. I was managing all of Charlie's business. I was basically helping run everything. And now we're experiencing things like this. And just 3 years before that Richard moment, I was a student in your shoes, like lost, confused, no idea what I wanted to do, but I showed up and I took action, and now this is what was happening. And in that moment is when I decided to create this character for myself, Timmy the Dreamer. Because Charlie would always say, you gotta have like this superhero version of yourself to aspire to be, like the most authentic version of you, someone to try to like push yourself forward to. And I said, you know what, man, I'm a dreamer. This is who I am. My whole life, people have been judging me for the dreams I want to do, but now I'm like, no, this is who I am, man. And a dreamer to me is somebody who has the courage to go after their true dreams in life and who inspires others to do the same. And it was funny because I realized like my entire life, I had a ton of friends, yet I always felt a little bit lonely. Because I always felt like I was changing myself just a little bit to fit into this crowd and fit into this crowd, and it never actually satisfied my need for belonging. And now that I was finally having the courage to show up as myself, guy who wears bright colors and Crocs and does what he wants to do and helps people and travels and starts businesses, I never felt more connection and belonging than I had my entire life. And so Richard's life had changed, our Dream Machine movement had changed, and my life had changed. This all led into our second tour across the country. This is our biggest idea we ever had. We call it the $1 Million Road Trip, where we're going to travel from Los Angeles to Miami, giving away $1 million all across America to dreamers in need. And every dream we did on that tour was like national news, millions of views, celebrities back to back to back. And one of my favorites, potentially my favorite story we ever did, is a young man by the name of Matthew. This guy's a legend, man. Matthew, when he was born, the doctor said he'd never be able to walk a day in his life. And so his dream was just that, to be able to walk. Something that we all probably don't even think about. His dream was just to be able to walk. And he said, but if I could start a business or do something, I'd want to start an inspirational clothing line to inspire people to never give up no matter what adversity they're facing. And so we helped Matthew launch his clothing brand, which is called Violet's Arcana Purple. And we ended up in total selling $350,000 worth of clothing to our audience. And on top of that, we had celebrities like Akon, Kevin Hart, and Mike Tyson wear and support Matthew's clothing. This is one of the most legendary photos I think I've ever seen in my life. These guys, Matthew was meeting all these celebrities and they were promoting his company, and it was incredible, man. I got to see Matthew's dream come true, but not just for the clothing. Because once we launched this, I got to see how Matthew's energy changed, how his mood changed, how his motivation changed. And every day, for the last 2 years, he's been waking up every day towards that ultimate goal, training towards being able to walk. And as a matter of fact, like literally just a month ago, and this gave me the goosebumps when I saw it, man. Just a month ago, I saw a video of Matthew walking down the stairs with the handrail, but walking down the stairs in his own home for the first time in his life. And I was like, yo, man, that is the power of chasing a dream. Chasing a dream to me is not about what you accomplish, but about who you become. Chasing a dream is not about what you accomplish, but about who you become. And I got to see people like Matthew, when they were chasing their dream, how they came more motivated, inspired. I got to see people's physical health transform, their mental health transform, their passion for life transform. And I was like, man, it was so beautiful all across the country to see how when you pursue your dreams, the best version of you comes to the table. And so for us, we went all across the country and we did all these amazing things, and we finished that tour, and I mentioned the celebrities and the views and all these cool things, but the coolest part of all this is that I realized there's literally no greater joy in life than helping make somebody else's dream come true. And I realized that maybe for any of us, the secret to living a fulfilling and meaningful life is literally just giving back to others. It's getting up every day and asking ourselves the question, how can I get up today and make somebody else's life better? And it doesn't need to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. It can be opening the door up for somebody and smiling. It can be sitting with the person at the lunch table who doesn't have anybody to sit with. It can be letting your parents know, like, hey, man, I appreciate you. Thank you for all you've done for me. Letting your teachers know, hey, I appreciate you. Thank you for all you've done for me. But every day we have an opportunity to get up and make somebody else's life better. And I say now, we can all either choose to be a Dale or a dreamer for somebody else. You can be the person that brings people down, makes yourself feel big by tearing others down and making them feel small. Or you can be the dreamer that says, yo, man, you got it. I believe in you. Hey, how you doing today? Yeah, what do you need? I'm gonna be here for you. And I got to see, like working with Charlie, how when an entire organization commits to that culture, how cool that can be. And before I came here this week, I was like, man, how cool would it be if the students at Spirit Lake actually committed to that and said, you know what, we're gonna be there for each other. Instead of like tearing each other down, we're truly gonna show up and be there for each other. And I was like, that'd be a pretty cool thing, man, because it's powerful. It is powerful. And so at this point in the journey, you know, we had traveled all across the country, and man, I mean, we had given away about $5 million in collaborative people. I know you saw some, but also Steph Curry and MGK, and we did all these things all across the country. And honestly, at this point, I thought that this was going to keep going up and up and up and up forever. And honestly, I thought, okay, you know what? I finally did it. I'm like 25, 26 years old, and I finally cracked the code on life. And I was stoked till I realized that maybe I didn't fully crack the code. Because after that second tour, I was sitting at a Starbucks on Sunset Boulevard in West Hollywood, and I got another phone call from Charlie. But this time, it wasn't a good call. He said, yo, Timmy, did you hear about Chris? I said, no, what happened to Chris? As a reminder, Chris was the CEO and founder of Dreamer, so the company that was sponsoring our tours and sponsoring our Dreamer house and was basically involved in everything that we were doing. He said, it's not good news, man. Sitting there like, all right, man, give it to me. He said, he's dead, man. I said, he's dead? He said, yeah, man, 33 years old, wife, 6-year-old kid, died of an asthma attack laying in his own front yard. Anybody here ever lost a family member or friend or a loved one or someone that they really care about? You know it's one of the hardest feelings that there is. And unfortunately for us, along with the personal grieving, there was also a whole bunch of business implications that we had to figure out. Because most people didn't know this, but Chris and I actually, for those entire 3 years, were meeting each and every single week. And we would talk about building Dreamology into his app. We would talk about building Dreamer Labs at schools across America so kids had resources to chase their dreams. And we would talk about how at Dream Machine, what we were doing was so cool, but we were actually only able to help one person at a time. And so we said, we have these millions of people. What if we give them more tools and resources to be able to make their dreams come true as well? And when Chris died, along with losing one of my best friends, I also felt like a big part of my purpose and the vision for what I was doing there also died with it. And over the course of the next couple months, I started to feel my motivation lower and lower and lower, and I started to sink back into that bad headspace. And then they say sometimes in life, when it rains, it pours. But my brother came to me and he said, hey, I'm going to leave the team, Timmy. I'm going to go move to Miami and chase this girl. And they're married now, so it worked out. But at the time, I was like, dude, don't move to Miami. Like, don't leave me. Because when Tyler left, I was like, man, now I'm in Los Angeles. I'm grieving my friend's death, but now my family's gone. And I started to think about my family back in Minnesota, and I realized I'd lost touch with my people, my family, my closest friends. And I got to see how in a moment's notice, somebody that you love can be gone. And I was like, man, I really got to go see my family. The trifecta of this is that we were still working 7 days a week, 12-hour days, 3 years straight, and I was exhausted, man. I was exhausted. And guess what happened? That anxiety crept back in. And all of a sudden, I felt like waking up every day again, and I couldn't move, hard to get out of bed, living in a mansion in Hollywood Hills, collaborating with all these celebrities, doing these things, but I was like, man, this is tough. But at that point in my life, when the anxiety came back, this time I didn't fight it because I realized I had the tools to deal with it. I'd still been meeting with that mindfulness coach twice a month that entire time. And we sat down and we said, all right, what's going on? And I said, well, I got to have a conversation with Charlie because a lot of things are out of alignment again. And so I went to Charlie and I said, hey, man, this Dreamology stuff, do you think we could put it into our movement? And he said, man, I don't really know if that's going to work. And I said, all right, well, could we take some more time off so I can go see my family more and take care of myself more? And he said, honestly, man, this is the way that I am. I'm going to just go 110% always. And if you want to work with me, that's the way it's going to be. And I was like, well, I built this with you. Don't I have any say in how we proceed and how we go forward? And the unfortunate reality was no. And honestly, that conversation was very similar to one I had with Dale, where it was like, nope, sorry. And it hurt. It hurt because I was like, dude, I built this right by your side, and is this going to be the end? And I had to go to that contract. Because honestly, when we sign this contract, when we commit to our dreams, we don't just do it once in our lives. It's going to happen multiple times throughout our lives. You have to make a decision on, am I going to keep going down this path, or am I going to go towards my true dreams in life? And at that point in my life, I knew that it was time to start the next chapter. But this time, for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like a failure. Because I realized that my time as a basketball player, my time in college, my time after college, my time with Charlie, it all had purpose. It all had meaning. And I realized that just like a book, our lives have chapters, but they're all going to have a beginning and an end. That is guaranteed. They are all going to have a beginning and an end. But each chapter is there to teach us what matters to us, what skills can we build, what important relationships can we forge, and how we can grow and develop to be the person that we ultimately want to be. So I look back for the first time and I was grateful. I was like, oh man, I love playing basketball. Oh, you know what? College didn't lead me down the right career path, but I met amazing friends and I learned a lot and I tried a lot. And that time after college, that was tough, but you know what? It brought me to meeting Charlie, and meeting Charlie changed my life forever. So I'm looking back and I'm like, I'm grateful for every single moment. And not just the good, but also the bad. Because the good moments, they bring you joy and lifelong memories and friendships and good time, but the bad is where you really grow. That's where you really learn who you are, and that's what pushes you into being the person that you're ultimately going to be in this earth. And I thought to myself, you know what, if I did one thing right on this journey, it was that I was just all in for each and every single part of it. It's that I just showed up and I gave 110%, even though I didn't even always know what was going on. Because when I first started this journey, I was just kind of guessing what my dream life looked like. But by the end of it, I had some real data to tell myself, you know what, my dream life looks like a life where my family and friends are prioritized first. My dream life looks like, maybe I'm not going to be an NBA player, but I want to be a lifelong athlete. I want to take care of myself. My dream life looks like traveling and having fun and adventuring. Figure that out. My dream life looks like showing up as my authentic self, Timmy the Dreamer. My dream life looks like being happy, right? Prioritizing my mental health. And I even had created these things in my life now that I call the happiness habits. Because I think just like how you're supposed to move your body or exercise every day, we should all do one thing for our mental health and happiness every single day. And these are things that I've done throughout my journey, from breath work to ice bath to meditation to journaling, exercise, play, connecting with friends, gratitude, iPhone detox, getting in nature. All these things are things that can really improve your health and well-being. And if we all just pick one thing to do, we can show up as our best self every day. And this is going to relate to tomorrow. We'll talk about tomorrow later, but I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to experience some of these things and how powerful they can be to immediately getting rid of the stress and anxiety that you're feeling and allow you to show up as your best. And finally, I learned that my dream life still has to do with giving. And so I launched this dream business, Dreamer State University. I finally launched my community for dreamers, where I do events and retreats all across the country for dream chasers. And I also launched my Dreamology tour, where I'm going to schools all across the country with the goal of giving 50 speeches to these states in every single state across the country. And it's been a crazy journey, man. And now this is like the start of my next chapter. And when I think about where I'm at right now in life, I'm 27 years old. I'm not really that much older than you guys. And the truth is even though I present some of these things I got to figure it out, I'm still figuring out a lot of things, man. I'm still figuring out a lot of things. And my younger self in your shoes probably would have been stressed out by that. But I realize now after this journey that maybe figuring it out isn't the goal. Because I met homeless people and I met billionaires. I met wannabe musicians, and I met some of the biggest musicians on earth. And there was one thing that every human being has in common, is that nobody has completely cracked the code on life. Nobody is not facing challenge. Nobody is not facing adversity. Nobody is not struggling with something, has some imperfection. And so when I realized that, I was like, if we are all imperfect, if we're all just trying to figure it out, it maybe takes us back to the two choices that we can take with our life. Option number one is, okay, you know what? I don't have it figured out, and I got these flaws, and oh, you know what, I don't know. Maybe somebody else can go after their dreams, but not me. I'm going to stay over here on this path where it feels nice and safe and cozy. Or we could tell ourselves, hey man, guess what? I got flaws. I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't really know what I'm doing. But guess what? I'm going to go for it anyways. Because it seems that the people who achieve their dreams in life are the ones that decide to say, yeah, I'm imperfect, yeah, I'm flawed, yeah, I'm human, but I'm going to go for it anyways. And because I made that decision on August 15th, 2018 to sign that contract with my dreams, I've gotten to live out some of my biggest dreams in life. Am I perfect? No. Do I struggle with things? Yes, but I've gotten to experience some of my biggest dreams in life. And I also got to learn these lessons that we talked about through the speech, but lessons that I want to leave with you guys on how you can experience your dreams as well, both in your time here at Spirit Lake and after. And you guys are going to have a copy of this after, so don't worry about memorizing this, but lesson number 1 is to commit to going after your true dreams in life and not the dreams others want you to chase. Lesson number 2 is to write and share your dreams with others. I would have never met Charlie. I would have never met the Daydreamers. I wouldn't be here speaking in front of you guys if I didn't share my dreams with the world. Lesson number 3 is to take action and learn from everything, just like a class. Be a student of life. Know that it's not about getting it perfect. It's just about taking action and learning from everything you do. Lesson number 4 is to form your dream mates, people who are truly going to be there and show up for you. Lesson number 5 is to prioritize your mental health and well-being. Remember, you don't have to do that journey alone. Lesson number 6 is to find your teachers, people who have what you want to have in life and they can help you get it. Lesson number 7 is to be bold. The universe rewards bold. Lesson number 8 is to create your own superhero, the most authentic version of yourself. And if you want to have some fun with it, some extra credit, give it a name. Timmy the Dreamer is it for me, but I don't know what it could be for you, but give that person a name, someone that you can look up to. Lesson number 9 is the secret of living is giving. And lesson number 10 is to be all in. And that last one is really my challenge for you here at Spirit Lake, just to be all in. Because you don't really know what the future is going to look like. And really, we're never in the future. The only place we're ever in is the present. You can control how you show up for the rest of your time at Spirit Lake, how you show up for yourself, for your classmates, for the teachers, for this community, and really make the most of the rest of your time here. And honestly, you can look at this whole list, and if you guys forget each and every single one of these things, you walk out of here and you say, Dan, what did he say again? I want you to remember just this one thing. Is that most people don't get to experience their dreams in life. Most people don't. And we know this because there was a study done. There was a study done on the number 1 regret of people who are about to lose their life. And they asked these people, they said, can you look back at your life and just say, what are some of your biggest regrets? And the crazy thing is that 76% of people said the exact same thing. 76% of people said the exact same thing. And they said, you know what? I wish I had the courage to go after the life that I truly wanted to live and not the life that others wanted me to live. I wish I had the courage to go after the life that I truly wanted to live and not the life that others wanted me to live. If I had one goal today, one goal at all, it's that nobody in this room, both myself, you guys, the teachers, anybody's a part of that statistic. Anybody gets to the end of their life and is like, dang man, I wish I would have the courage to just go for it. And so some of this stuff might seem silly, right? Writing a contract with yourself and writing your dreams and treating it like a class and doing all this stuff. But I promise you that if you live your entire life based off the expectations and opinions of others, you're never going to find that success and happiness that you're looking for in life. It's going to be scary. You're going to be afraid, but my challenge for you is to have the courage to show up and to do it anyways. And so what I want to do now is I want to give you guys an opportunity to make the same decision that I made at the start of my journey, which is to ask yourself the question, what is your dream? And what we're going to do, I'm actually going to have you guys stand up. Let's do a little stand up for this. Yeah, there we go. Stretch it out. Bleachers are nice and comfy. Rob's doing the yoga up there. All right, so what I want you guys to do for a second is I want you guys just to close your eyes. For a second, close the eyes. And we're going to do this in 2 parts. But the first thing I want you to do is I want you to just, in your head, visualize all those things that other people have told you to do, all the things that you feel like you should be doing with your life. And I want you to just push those things to the side for a second. And I want you to open up your mind completely to the question, what is my dream? And remember that this doesn't have to be super specific. It doesn't have to be super put together. When I first started, it was very broad, but I want you to first think about the rest of your time here at Spirit Lake. And what dreams would you have that you want to accomplish before you graduate here? It might be a sport you want to play, a club you want to join. It might be in music. It might be how you want to show up in the classroom. It might be a way you want to impact your community, but I'm going to give you about 45 to 60 seconds. And I want you to just think about, before you leave here at Spirit Lake, what dreams would you want to accomplish? And so I'll give you about 45 seconds just to kind of visualize and imagine that, and then we're going to go to the second part. And remember, this is a time to allow yourself to go places you maybe haven't gone, to experience whatever's coming up, and allow yourself to truly be like, oh yeah, I do want to do that. That does sound cool. You know what, I should go be friends with that person. They seem dope. But anything that comes up, just let it come up. And for part 2 of this, what I want you to do is I want you to think about your time after Spirit Lake. When you think about dreams that you have for the future, I want you to do the same thing. I want you to ask yourself, what really sounds exciting to me? It doesn't have to be realistic. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to be fully put together. But when you think about what do my dreams look like in my time after Spirit Lake, what comes up for you? And again, I'll give you about 45 seconds to just sit with that and allow yourself to ponder on this question. And I know some of you right now might be like, I don't want to do this, man. This doesn't sound that cool. But I promise you, eventually, you're going to have to start asking yourself these questions. And so there's no time like the present. So if you don't want to do this, I get it. But ask yourself to just open yourself up to just saying, for 45 seconds, can I think about the question, what is my true dream in life? All right, you guys can open your eyes. And we're going to have a little bit of fun. So again, I'm taking you guys through the steps right now, thinking about your dreams, and I'm taking you guys through this process so we can start taking action today. And so what I actually have is I have Dreamer contract for you guys that Natasha has. And so we're all just going to go on the court reel here. I got papers, and again, don't put pressure on what you write to be all pretty and fancy, but I want you just so it's down on paper immediately. Whatever you guys saw in your head, there's going to be a line in the middle of this paper. I want you to just draw a line down the middle on the left side. I want you to write whatever dreams came up for Spirit Lake. And on the right side, I want you to just write whatever dreams came up for after. And it could be 1 thing, 3 things, 5 things, whatever you saw. But again, it's important to get these things out of our head and get them on paper. So you guys can just come down to the court. I'll hand out pens, and we'll keep this thing moving. We got about 15 minutes left.